Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into 104.3 The Fans Coffee Break. We've got D-Mac. We've got Will Peterson. Nate Jackson going to join us a little bit later. We got a lot to talk about, but first we got to talk about actually some coffee bets that I want to make with both of you because, Will, you actually had put out a tweet this morning, maybe last night, but I saw it this morning, about the Colorado Rockies. After losing 11 of 12 games, the Rockies have somehow beaten the Dodgers 3 straight times in Los Angeles, and they'll finish the season tomorrow with some drama. Colorado's over or under to start the year with 68.5 wins. They currently have 68. So will the Rockies do it? Will they hit their number? Will, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the fact they're even in this position is remarkable, right?
Yes.
They had lost, like I said in the tweet, 11 of 12, and they're in LA. Mm-hmm. And granted, the Dodgers have already secured the NL West and secured the number 1 seed in the playoffs and all that. But the Rockies can never win in LA. So the fact they've won 3 in a row to make today even matter
awesome.
Is fascinating. It's fascinating. Awesome. As Jake Shapiro points out, Clayton Kershaw's on the mound this afternoon. But that doesn't mean Clayton Kershaw's going 7 innings. They want to keep him fresh for the playoffs. He could just pitch the first 2 or 3. We'll see. Right. So I think they have a shot, Rachel. You wonder if this team, like all these minor league guys, actually do want to finish on a high note, right? Like they're not 1, 2, 3 Cancun because all these kids are so excited to actually be playing in the big leagues.
Oh, I love it, by the way. The fact that there is really something on the line today for the Rockies is just deliciously awesome. And Patrick Saunders and I will hash it up on the Mile High Baseball podcast at denverfan.com. We record that tomorrow. But I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And yes, you are correct. By the way, baseball is an interesting sport because you never really just mail it in if you've got something to play for because it's a team individual event. So you don't go up there striking out. You only get up, say, 4 times a game. You're going to try to hit the baseball hard all 4 times. You get a ground ball hits you. You're going to try to field the ball. You are a pitcher. You're going to try to throw strikes. There's no such thing as mailing it in if you're playing younger guys. No, that's why I've been calling it fall spring training. For the past 3 weeks. I don't even care if they win, to be honest with you. As soon as they hit fall spring training, it was irrelevant to me if they won or lost because it doesn't matter if you win or lose in spring training. I don't think they were doing fall spring training until about 3 weeks ago, but around 3 weeks ago, you saw that. So the fact that they have actually stumbled into this moment is awesome to me. And the game's in the middle of the day. We have nothing else going on. There's no Broncos today. The Avs play tonight. It is juicy, fun, middle of the afternoon, last Rockies game of the year, and it'll be just so fun to look at some of our friends at the radio station who really care about this game and to watch them twist in the wind with the results. I'm loving it.
Listen, if you had asked me a week ago about the Rockies, I would have said, no idea what's going on. I saw Will's tweet, like I said, this morning, and I'm all in. I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's finish above. Let's go. I'm all in 100%. Jake does say, no matter what happens, this is the most games back the Rockies will have ever finished. So in typical Rockies fashion, I don't expect them to win tonight. Okay, go ahead.
Well, just to say, the key is find a friend who has really counted on this one way or the other. Find out what side of the fence that person's on, and then with all your power, root against him or her or whoever. But just find that person, find out what they need to happen, and just brutally go against them the other way. And just
because then you're rooting for the Rockies to lose today.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
The 2 most public guys at our station, it rhymes with Schmokley and Schmack. I think both need them to get a dub today. So I know, D-Mac, we're going to still be doing coffee break, but I know 11:01, Brandon Stokely's going to be talking about this 220 Rockies game. That's just the way that show is going to start. And those guys, 220, man, they're going to be all in. That's right when they get off the air, right when you and Derek will start. Yeah. I guarantee they are locked into this game like it's game 7 of the World Series.
No, we'll be on the air while we're on. I'm just going to call it the Zokley Show update as we just update the score over and over and over again for their benefit because they're such big baseball fans.
Baseball fans.
Baseball fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baseball fans. Placing a coffee bet though this morning. What are you guys saying? Are you saying they're going to do it, or are they going to go and lose it in typical Rocky practice?
They're definitely going to lose. I mean, that's going to be the fun part. The fun part is they got this close, right? They got this close inexplicably, right? And they're going to lose. I mean, they have a 6-game series with the Dodgers. Do you really think they're going to win the series? The fact that they're even going to tie the series is remarkable. No, they're going to lose. It's going to be, and I don't root against the Rockies. I hope they lose in some crazy, painful way, too. Like, it really looks like they're going to win, and they walk 9 batters in a row to give up like a 2-run lead or something. And by the way, they kind of did that the other night.
Yeah, they did out in San Francisco. Here's the thing, Rachel. They're definitely going to lose because it's so Rockies to win these 3 games that we're even having this conversation. If they lose any of these 3, the over-under is not in play. They, if they're at 67 today, it's not in play. You can't win 2 games today. You can only win 1. But I was watching the end of it last night, and Daniel Bard came in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're actually going to make tomorrow matter. Yeah. And they did, and they will lose. And they will lose and rip your heart out fashion. I'm with D-Mac on that. Actually, it's one of 2 extremes. Either they're going to lose 17-0 and it's going to be over by the 2nd inning, or they're going to be up 4-3 going to the bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, and the Dodgers are going to hit a 2-run walk-off to end the Rocky seasons and crush the coffee bets hopes everywhere. But they're definitely losing.
I love that we're all on the same page there. So we will definitely have to see. We do have to do a roast or toast, though. One last thing, because our very own Jake Shapiro, big Rockies guy, he said the Rockies' 8 wins versus the MLB best Dodgers this season is the most in the MLB, you guys. Are you kidding me? What a Rockies thing to say right there.
Well, that doesn't actually surprise me because it's just such a common opponent. Like, the Rockies have given Clayton Kershaw fits over the years. He hasn't been like the hammer on the Rockies. They've chased Kershaw many, many times. Yeah, when you have such amazing familiarity with teams, actually that doesn't really surprise me because it's no big deal for the Rockies to play the Dodgers. What is a big deal for the Rockies is to play road games. That apparently remains a ridiculous big deal. They actually had a winning record this year at home, barely, 41-40. I mean, and Daniel Bard is legit. Daniel Bard could be the closer on a lot of Major League Baseball teams, a lot. So it's just the Rockies, guys. Ryan McMahon could play on a million teams. Grichuk has had an okay year. He would play on a lot of teams. There's Brendan Rodgers would be good. Iglesias was one of the best hitters in the league. It is crazy when you kind of individually look at the Rockies, and then you realize what it really was this year. They could never put it together at the same time. It was a bunch of individual performances that would never truly sync up one after another. And there you go. And that's how a team that is actually pretty good at home stinks on the road. Again. And by the way, I've seen enough of Bud Black. I saw too many games this year that were mismanaged, and I think he cost the Rockies about a dozen games. I'm not even lying about that. I'm not saying the Rockies are great, but I could probably count about a dozen games that Bud Black just blew it. So I would move on from Bud Black. Not that anybody cares, but that's what I would do.
And just one real quick point on that. The Rockies have not fired a manager since Clint Hurdle in 2009. Both Jim Tracy and Walt Weiss were mutual parting of the ways. Now, does that mean that they were fired? Sure. But Dick Monfort and Jeff Bridich and the previous Dan O'Dowd, they didn't fire anyone since Clint Hurdle. So I'm with D-Mac. I would keep an eye on the Bud Black thing. I would. But if he goes, it will be framed as mutual parting of ways.
I was very lucky. I spent a youth baseball season with Walt Weiss. His son, Brock, and my son, Dylan, played on the same baseball team after Walt wasn't there anymore. So I would be like with Walt, and Walt was great. He would hang out with the rest of the parents at the Starbucks before the games, and he would just sit there, and he would talk to everybody. You're not better off with Bud Black than Walt Weiss. Walt's a great guy, by the way. and he's a bench coach for the Braves. How they doing? Pretty good.
They win every year.
There was no reason really to move on from Walt Weiss. Things have not, if you think about it, well, what got better? What got better from Walt Weiss to Bud Black? Tell me.
Well, D-Mac, they made the playoffs twice under Bud Black. Let's not forget that. They weren't sniffing that with Walt Weiss.
Okay. All right, fair enough. You think Bud Black was the reason?
I don't think Bud Black was the reason, no, but he got a young team sort of over the top. 2017 and 18 were darn good seasons. 17, they lost the thriller wild card game to the Diamondbacks. And 18, they obviously beat the Cubs in dramatic fashion and then couldn't do anything against the Brewers. So Bud Black's tenure started off pretty nicely. It's just done this the last 3 years.
All right, well, whatever. It's just time to move on,
Yeah,
and by the way, I get it. There's other problems. People always say, oh, why bother? Why bother when we should just get rid of the owner? Okay, fine, I guess. I'm not defending ownership. Bill Schmidt, why'd you hire a guy from the inside? All right, but Bill Schmidt was a qualified guy based on his previous experience. It's not like he's the owner's son. He'll be hired. He's already been hired, and he'll do more later. It's just a messy situation. And they really should have just put a new coat of paint on it when they hired Bill Schmidt, and they shouldn't have. And I feel weird saying that because Bill Schmidt did everything you should do to deserve the job. It's just that they needed a fresh look on everything, and they didn't get it, and you get the same old results.
I love how Clint said, how are you 15 minutes in the show and still talking about the Rockies? Because today is one of the only days that people are actually going to care about the Rockies throughout the season. Okay, we got to move on, though, because we do have a roaster toast based off of Aaron Judge hitting 6.
Time now for Coffee Break's Roast or Toast.
Woo woo! All right, Aaron Judge, historic HR was hit in section 31, row 1, seat 3. The fan is being taken by security to get the ball authenticated and expected to be worth at least $2 million. Insane the fact that ball is. But now my roaster toast to you, D-Mac and Will, is Aaron Judge's 62 home run is a remarkable achievement. Barry Bonds' 73 home runs is the record. There's nothing else to discuss. Are you toasting this or are you roasting it? Because you got to give credit to Aaron Judge, Will.
Oh, I'm toasting it. Jeff Passan's spot on there. Barry Bonds holds the record for most big league home runs, and he's trailed by Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. And Aaron Judge has had a remarkable year, and he passed Roger Maris last night, but he's still like 7th on the all-time list. Like, come on, guys. Steroids were not illegal at the time. Let's not forget that. They were frowned upon, but they were not illegal. Baseball did not ban them until afterward. So don't blame Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire for bending the rules when they weren't even the rules. Those guys did what they felt like they had to do. Now, morally, can we debate it? Of course. But those guys put on a show. They saved baseball at the time. And Barry Bonds, for as much as I hate the guy, is still the all-time home run king.
Absolute toast to me. Although I hate the Yankees, I absolutely respect what Judge has done. I love the moments with his mom and everything that's kind of good about baseball. Maybe you should be 6'7", 270 pounds to set that record. It gives you an amazing respect for Roger Maris, who hit 61 in 1961, who was just kind of an average, like a regular guy, not like a superhuman like Aaron Judge. And that being said, and I've always said this about baseball, which is my favorite sport, baseball's gone through eras, okay? Baseball went through a gambling era. Baseball horrifically went through a tremendously racist era where you didn't have to face the best players because of racism. Baseball has gone through a steroid era. So is Babe Ruth's record any less because he didn't have to face really the best pitchers in the world like these guys have had to face? Do we just discount Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa because they were operating at least on the fringe of the rules that a lot of other guys, everybody was operating on those rules? There was a year where Todd Helton, and I'm not accusing Todd of anything, but there was a year that he hit like 49 home runs and was like 12th in home runs in the league that particular year. Things were just out of whack with baseball for a while. And what Judge has done is amazing. So I don't discredit that time because that was a time of baseball, just like baseball's had other bad times. That being said, we are here to celebrate a moment where things are obviously being done in a more clean way than ever before. So I totally toast it. And the Maris family, they have said they consider this the real home run record, passing their dad. And I respect that point of view too. I mean, I understand their feelings.
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. I did see one comment that said, let's not forget those pitchers were all using stuff too. So it was an equal rule bending.
It's baseball. There's been cheating and bad stuff. It's baseball. Although you could have a George Will, the grass smells green, field of dreams, sort of, ethereal majesty of baseball sort of pros rather. But really, there's been a dark side of baseball for a long time. And do you really want to know how the sausage is made in baseball? And that's what we kind of boil down to. So for all that, I'll take a good moment. And last night was a good moment. The person we should be asking about this is Jake Shapiro, who crapped all over the record on social media last night because he said, oh, whoopee, you're the seventh best home run hitter or something like that. It's Jake Shapiro that's got a problem, not me and Will.
Oh, here he comes.
Hi.
Right? Am I lying?
No, so here's the thing. Aaron Judge hit 62 home runs yesterday, right? That is fewer 3 times than what Sammy Sosa did, who never led the league in home runs. So Judge hit the 6th most home runs in MLB history last night in a single season. That's awesome. It's been an awesome season. I've been following it. He deserves a lot of credit. Even more, I just put this in the chat for you guys. To put it in the context, Judge has 16 more home runs than second place Kyle Schwarber this year.
But why were you qualifying it then, Jake? By qualifying it, you were discrediting it.
No, I think I don't want to discredit what Aaron Judge has done. It's just not the record. You look at what has happened in Major League Baseball.
Will, help me out here. Help me out here, Will.
Barry Bonds had 11 more home runs in a season than Aaron Judge. Of course it's the real record.
You keep discrediting it, Jake, with every word that comes out of your mouth.
Well, I think it is important to put the context in that Judge has had an amazing season, and he's hit far more home runs than second place.
But
he didn't hit more home runs than Barry Bonds, who hit 73 in 2001. And he didn't hit more home runs than Sammy Sosa, who hit over 60 3 separate times in his MLB career. Or McGuire, who hit more in 98. So it's clearly the record of other guys. And you can go down baseball history and say, hey, you can go down baseball history and say, hey, this record is tainted by steroids. You know what? The Roger Maris record, people thought should have an asterisk because he did it in 162 games, and Babe Ruth did his in 150. So you're talking about different eras, DMAC. Every single record in baseball has some sort of context.
Jake, you're just doing what I said you were doing. You are qualifying everything and discrediting it. You can't say I'm not discrediting it, and then every single word you say discredits it. I get it, Jake. All you're doing is more of what I accused you of.
It's like I don't mean to be disrespectful, but well, you're about to say something really disrespectful. Yeah.
All right. Barry Bonds, the greatest home run hitter of all time. Aaron Judge did the most in the American League. Awesome, but it's Barry Bonds every single day, all day, every time.
Here's one thing we can all agree on. So we'll move on to CU in just a second. But the fact that this ball is going to be worth $2 million, are you kidding me? And apparently this guy's already like a Wall Street something, so he doesn't even need the $2 million.
Yeah, we all hate him. I wish Zach Campbell caught it.
Yeah, seriously.
Can you imagine, D-Mac? Can you imagine? Oh, man.
All right, Jake, the new coach up in CU, the interim coach. It seems like people are loving him. Play the video.
Let's go, move! Let's have some fun today. Let's fly around, and most importantly, guys, the fun is in the competition. Yeah! The fun is in the competition. Hey, 5 up downs on the line right here. We're going to compete today in multiple different ways. 1. Get there, run! Finish above the defense. Good, DI! The standard's the standard. On the horn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See your coaches.
Mike Sanford. I love the energy. I think it needs a change of pace up there. We also have this tweet, which is actually a really funny story. It said last time interim head coach Mike Sanford was on the sidelines for a game was 2018. He still wears a knee brace from tearing his left meniscus while celebrating an interception. I told them my full intention is to tear my right meniscus at some point in the next 7 games. I never root for injuries, but let's go. I love a comeback story for the Buffs, and I hope that they can win at least one game. One game, that's all you need for the Buffs.
Born to be an assistant coach. That guy right there.
Wow.
That's
tough, D-Mac.
That is right out of the assistant coach playbook. That is not head coaching material. You don't get it. As a head coach, you've got to have balance, and you've got to be a great recruiter, and you have to be able to lead other adults, not the kids. That's assistant coach garbage right there. That's who he is. I heard him. He's a cliche machine. He's a rah-rah, Rudy-tooty dude. And that's what you want in an assistant coach. That's not okay, fine. Name a head coach that you love that's like that.
Oh, people are relating him to, or not relating him, but saying Nathaniel Hackett 2.0 reminds me of Hackett.
Yes,
listen, though, they're in the middle of the season. I say the kids that are up and bold, they're on this team, need some sort of refresh, and I'm here for them getting it. I'm totally here for it. D-Mac, don't be a Grinch here, my goodness.
Yeah, this is such a refreshing change of pace from Karl Dorrell, who was so monotone and so boring and never had anything positive or inspirational. And my biggest memory of Karl Dorrell is shoving the Channel 4 photographer to the ground after the loss to USC. Like, at least Mike Sanford seems like a happy, positive, go-lucky guy. D-Mac, this team has lost every game by 23 points. Don't they need a spark of energy?
Yeah, as an assist. Listen, he's never going to get the head coaching job, and I don't give a crap what you do. If you want a little rah-rah spirit so your mascot isn't playing solitaire on the sidelines, fine, whatever. It's 5 games, and perhaps you need to fill Folsom a couple of times to make some revenue. But a guy like this for the future of the organization is a tremendous mistake, and I hope he doesn't get the job. You have to understand what it means to be a leader and be the president of everything, okay? That sort of crap is just that. It's cliche crap, and it doesn't matter.
Why were you saying this about Hackett then when he got hired? Because he was the exact same way. You were right in that train.
Hey, Nathaniel Hackett was bait for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, are we not calling out what it really was? And it was, teams always think if things go poorly with one coach, we've got to go the exact opposite. Where really the nuance is somewhere probably in the middle. And Hackett was the complete opposite of Fangio, somebody who didn't deserve the job in the first place, by the way. He got in on a cliche, eating a hamburger with sweatpants, telling John Elway it's death by inches, and somehow that clicked in with 7 that's who we need. I mean, because he was the exact opposite of VJ. Oh, it didn't work out. Let's go the exact opposite of Fangio and forget about experience, maturity, discipline, all that sort of stuff. You can have assistant coaches bring the energy and the excitement and competition, and you can sit there as the head guy and just sort of, in a mature way, just sort of, watch it. And then, by the way, you don't have to be loud to be a leader, which is ironic coming from me because I'm screaming all the time. But I'm not in charge of anybody, nor do I want to be. And I probably would be pretty lousy leading a bunch of other people. But I'm a good rah-rah guy, and that's probably exactly where I should be. I would trust Will to be in charge more than me.
Well, that's nice of you. I will just say I'm a big Mike Sanford guy. I'm getting Sean McVay vibes. You asked for an example of a young rah-rah head coach. Sean McVay's done pretty darn well in Los Angeles using that mantra.
I think it's different. I think McVay is more enthusiastic about what he's doing rather than a rah-rah guy. I think there is a difference. And I think Sanford's just the rah-rah. What are we even talking about here? Man, what a show. We're diving into the Rockies and the 0-5 Buffs. We are crushing it today.
We've had a lot of laughs, though, so that's what we did on this Wednesday.
Misery loves company.
Before we get ready to just smash the Broncos tomorrow here on Coffee Break. Okay, we do need to talk about the Broncos, though, because the running back situation with Latavius Murray, I was like, oh, maybe we are going to see more of him. But I'm not exactly sure of that anymore after Nathaniel Hackett and Justin Outen talked about it yesterday. It seems like there's a little bit of, I don't know if the word I want to use is miscommunication, but it just doesn't seem like they're on the same page. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Known Latavius for a while now, and he is another great pro. I mean, to have two, I mean, we might have some of the biggest running backs in the league right now. Just having that guy, a guy that has done it for so long, has tons of experience, can pass pro, can catch, is something that's great for our team. And also as a person, as a leader, I'm very happy that he's here.
Do you have a chance to play him on Thursday?
We're still working through that. He just got here, so we're just going to kind of get a feel for that, and we'll see what's best for him.
With Melvin, he's going to carry the load, obviously, and we'll have a mix of Boone. And then, after that, we got to figure out, who can spill and who feels best in that position. But, we trust Melvin with going forward here.
Doesn't mention Latavius Murray at all. Obviously, Nathaniel Hackett seemed to be very upfront and, very excited about Latavius Murray. But the fact that your offensive coordinator, I don't even think could remember his name, leads me to have a few questions about who we're going to be seeing in the backfield. Maybe not tomorrow, but definitely in the upcoming weeks. Will?
Yeah, I think for tomorrow, listen, I don't listen to anything Justin Outen says because he doesn't have any roles or responsibilities or power. The most we've talked about him this year is his Marty McFly quote. So Justin Outen is it's office space. What do you say you do here? So I'll take Hackett's word for it. And Hackett gave Latavius a very strong endorsement. And then, Rachel, it would have been very easy for Hackett to say, hey, we just signed this dude. It's a quick turnaround. We're going to sit him this week, and then we'll look into that the following week. But he didn't rule it out. And then Latavius in the locker room did his inner Kevin Garnett. Anything's possible about playing on Thursday night. I think Latavius Murray going to be a secret weapon for the Denver Broncos. I'm expecting him to get 8 to 10 carries tomorrow night.
Aside from seeing Justin Outen's O face, there's really not much there. So I don't trust him either. If we're going to make office space references with his red stapler in the basement, it's fine by me. Whatever he says, who cares? I really do think, though, they were up in the air. I really actually think that is legit. I don't think they want to play Melvin Gordon. I think they're trying to figure out how to get around it. However, I don't think they're going to be able to answer that riddle. It's going to be more confusing than the copier machine for these guys. So they're going to be stuck with it. And that's where they land for tomorrow. We'll see from there. I've got some ideas, though. We've got some ideas. And I love Cecil's concept of trading Jerry Jeudy. And I would call up the Green Bay Packers right now and tell them, we'll take A.J. Dillon for Jerry Jeudy. What do you say? I mean, they got Romeo Dubes as a receiver. Who? They've got issues there that need immediate answers in Green Bay. They love A.J. Dillon, but he's a backup for them right now. And I would do that swap in a second.
What's interesting is I'm seeing people in the comments say that he's going to be the goal line back. I would say yes, but I think Melvin Gordon will need that confidence for him to get in the back to continue to hopefully have success. Now, again, if there is a fumble or something bad happens on any drive, I think there goes Melvin Gordon's confidence. And this team, well, I shouldn't say this team. I don't think Melvin Gordon will be able to recover if something like that happens. So it is interesting to say because, yeah, you don't really need to know the playbook 100% to just try and run into the end zone.
Wait a second. Who's commenting? Michael Bolton? Where's the football knowledge? The best thing that Melvin Gordon has is the goal line. That's the one thing he actually does well.
Well, unless he's dropping the ball at the one like he did in Seattle, like he can fumble anywhere on the field, D-Mac. We've already seen him fumble at the goal line this year.
Hey, again, DenverFan.com. Look at Andrew Mason's article about how successful Melvin Gordon is. I mean, that is more than
that's over years and years. I'm talking about the last 5 games where he clearly has the yips. He's fumbled 5 times in 5 games. 3 of his last 12 games, he's had a ball picked up and return to the end zone. Rachel, love you. All due respect, you're talking about him losing his confidence. He's lost his confidence. It's gone. It's shot. It's shot. He knows he's done. He cried on the podium. He walked off because he couldn't handle Mace's questions. The Broncos should cut him today. He should never carry the football for Denver again. We can't be talking about, one more fumble is going to break him. He's a broken man.
All right. Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Will. You and I are the only two people on the station that said get rid of him now. Everybody else is waiting for a Disney story.
They can't get rid of him now, though. Latavius Murray does not know the playbook. If this game wasn't on Thursday, I would say absolutely you could have gotten rid of him and given him a few more time. This is a Thursday night game. You're telling me that this new running back, Latavius Murray, Mike Boone can't be running back number one. There's just no way. But if this was a Sunday game, I would 100% agree with you guys. That being said, if he makes a mistake come tomorrow night, I don't think he'll be back for Monday night against the Chargers.
Well, here's the irony. The Colts actually have a very stingy run defense. I mean, it's a whole new world for them in terms of a Disney story compared to the rest of their team. I mean, it's more than 17 pieces of flair they have on the D-line. However, they're weak in the secondary, and that's what's probably going to happen on Thursday, by the way. It is probably going to be a let Russ cook, Russ throw left, Russ throw right. Russ will be throwing the ball all over the place. I mean, he'll throw completions to Inatek. It'll be unbelievable what happens with Russ. And you really won't need the running back to do much more than pass block.
The only thing that is greater in number than Melvin Gordon fumbles is DMAC Office Space references. So I applaud you, sir. Well done. Well done. I don't know if Rachel's seen the movie, but I'm catching every single one. And
listen, they're just going to take fractions of pennies. It's not, nobody's even going to notice what they do with the running game. You know, it's going to be fine.
I wish I could say I've seen the movie. I have not seen the movie. I am not a movie watcher. Very, very rarely will I watch anything. So, Will, can you explain what the movie is to me before I get destroyed in the comments?
Hey, all I'm going to say is, you know, you should ask me what my dream is.
So, three guys work at a horrible office. It's the classic, you wear a suit, you sit in a cubicle, you stare at a spreadsheet, you hate your boss, you hate your job, you hate your life. One of the guys gets hypnotized by accident by a dying therapist and decides he doesn't care about work anymore. He goes in with this new attitude of just really not giving a bleep about life. And a couple consultants like him, and he moves on up into a higher role in the company. And they decide they're going to rob the company using the plot of Superman by taking fractions of a penny from the stock and putting it into a separate bank account. They do the math wrong. They end up with like a few $100,000 after just one day. They know the company's going to realize that they stole the money, and the drama ensues. But it's a comedy. Oh. And Jennifer Aniston's in it. Do you like Jennifer Aniston?
Listen, I'm named after Jennifer Aniston and Friends. Okay, I'm a huge Jennifer Aniston fan.
Well,
what's the name of it?
She's a disgruntled waitress at a restaurant. So, yes.
It kind of ties in with her characters and previous things. What's the name of the movie, though?
Office Space.
Office Space. Okay, I'll add it to my list. It sounds very interesting. But we do have to bring in our very own Nate Jackson because he's joining us today on the show. Excited to have him. Nate, we got to talk to you because if you were heard 30 seconds ago, we pretty much had DMAC, Will, myself all yelling at each other when it comes to Melvin Gordon and Latavius Murray. How do you anticipate Latavius Murray to be used, if at all, come Thursday?
Not a lot, just because he just got here, you know, and it's even if you're going from one system to the next that's similar, there's still terminology that's going to be a little bit different. There's familiarity with the players out there and Russell Wilson's cadence and all that stuff. You don't want to, I mean, I know Melvin's had his fumbling problems, but you don't want to stick Latavius Murray out there and have him not even understand what the language is and be going to the wrong spot. And, oh, there's a protection call. I didn't know it was a protection. I thought I was out in the flat, and all of a sudden Melvin Gordon gets blown up. So I don't think it's wise to just put Latavius Murray out there and say, go run the rock for us. I think Melvin Gordon, you got to rely on him, like it or not.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so your response tells me that you don't agree. You think Latavius should take the ball.
I don't anticipate seeing him out there. Will thinks he'll get, what'd you say, 8 to 10 carries, Will? And DMAC was just yelling because he said get rid of Melvin Gordon 100%. He shouldn't even be out there. So I said because it's a short week, there's no way you can do that because you can't trust Mike Boone either.
Well, but I also said the approach to the Colts is going to be different anyway. They have a good run defense. They don't have a great pass defense. It's a home game for the Broncos. I think they're really going to light it up. I think Russ is going to move around, and I think they're going to throw a bunch. And that was hurting the Colts in a variety of games they played this particular year. So I think this hemming and hawing about the running back situation may be a moot point because there may be less than 20 carries for running backs completely in this entire game.
What? I mean, look, on a short week, the running game is simple. It's easy. You don't have to install a bunch of stuff. So you would want to rely on a guy like Melvin Gordon, who's actually relatively healthy compared to all these other people. Hackett talked about the brutality of the 49er game, how brutal it was, how physical it was, how beat up they were last week, which caused him to have 0 padded practices last week in advance of the Raiders game, which I think was a huge mistake. They got pushed off the ball a ton. They got beat up. Maybe that was a product of taking it easy on them last week. But the point is that Melvin Gordon is pretty darn healthy. He's a guy you can rely on with a simple game plan to get the ball rolling. I think that Melvin might even have close to 20 carries himself.
No way.
But Nate, how can you rely on Melvin Gordon right now? Like, that's such a crazy word to use when you're talking about Melvin Gordon, 5 fumbles in 5 games, 3 return for touchdowns in the last 12 games, the absolute fumbling yips right now, crying at the podium, storming off after a question.
It matters to him, Will.
Melvin Gordon and reliable in the same sentence.
Okay. I didn't say he's reliable. I said you need to rely on him because you don't have any other options. Latavius Murray literally just got here. Javonte Williams is done for the year. Melvin Gordon, between college and the pros, has over 2,000 carries. The guy knows how to run the rock. You talked about it. It's the yips. Something's in his head, whether it's the psychology of splitting reps, whatever it might be. You're not going to be splitting reps anymore, at least not like that. It's your ball game, Melvin. I'm going to give you the ball 20 times. Take us to the promised land. Let's get you out of your own head. Clearly, the guy knows how to play football. He's been very successful since 2015, and people are saying this is a stupid stat and all that. But since 2015, he has the second most yards from scrimmage of any running back in the NFL. That means something to me. The guy has experience. You have to unlock that, whatever's going on in his brain. He's focusing on it. You got to take the focus off of that and focus on what's in front of you, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, but just because you don't have to do TPS reports anymore doesn't mean the answer is just hauling concrete away. It's usually much more complicated than that. So just because it's one thing, like he's starting, doesn't mean the yips are going to be gone. Listen,
Why? Why not?
Because life is not that simple.
Maybe it is, D-Mac. He's insecure because he's not the guy anymore, because he's not the starting running back. You give him the security of being the starting running back, maybe that fixes the problem.
Here's my question, though. You're telling me that he's going to feel confident walking out on that field when he knows 70,000 people are going to be ready to boo if he makes one single mistake?
Yeah, you know why? Because Russell Wilson put his hands on his shoulders and said, I believe in you, man. You are the best thing since Walter Payton. And by the way, Walter Payton has 86 fumbles in his career. Guess how many Melvin has? 25. That's it. That's like 20% of Walter's.
Here's what I know about Nate Jackson at this point. He's got a young kid, and he watches too many Disney movies. I mean, that's I don't know what it is. Is it Frozen? Is it Aladdin? Is it Lion King, Nate? I mean, what are you looking for here with Melvin Gordon, the story of redemption?
Yeah.
Where do you think this is going?
Is there a better story in the sports world than a story of redemption? And it's lined up to be exactly that. Thursday night, rely on the run game. There's nobody pushing you from behind anymore. It's your ball game. Okay, go out there and do it. Everyone else is banged up. You're relatively healthy. I think it's set up for a perfect redemption.
Hey, just because you found Dory doesn't mean she's going to be okay 2 weeks later. She still has some serious problems. That's how she got lost in the first place. Nobody ever checks in with Elsa 2 years later. Things may not have gone all that well based on how scarring that experience actually was.
I guess for me, look, I'm looking at it as this Broncos football team. He's part of the team right now. Like it or not, you brought him back. He's on your roster. And, if you want to cut bait and say, hey, screw it, you're on the streets, we're going to go with Latavius and Mike Boone, then go ahead. That's what you guys want? That's what you guys want? Man, Melvin Gordon was the best offensive player on this team last year, was he not?
No, but by the way, I don't want just that. I want the Broncos to trade Jerry Jeudy for A.J. Dillon of the Packers.
They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
Who?
The Packers wouldn't do that. Why would they?
They have no receivers. One of their starting receivers, his name is Romeo Dubes.
Yeah, he's a rookie and he's a baller. And if they brought in Jerry Jeudy, they'd still have no receivers.
Oh.
All right, you win.
Mic drop.
Touche, mic drop.
Mic drop.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that is too good. We got a comment though about Alberto because we saw him a lot more in the earlier weeks. And I think last week he was a part of 1% of the snaps. Do you anticipate us seeing any more of Alberto? Have we learned our lesson that Alberto is just not it, Nate?
I think maybe both. Maybe both things are true. He might not be it, but also we are going to see more of him. Nathaniel Hackett was asked about it, and he said, yeah, just kind of that's the way the game unfolded. Sometimes you don't get a lot of reps. He only ended up in there on one play. Yeah, one single play, which is kind of crazy because, you only get to suit up 45 players. You need every single one of them, except the backup quarterback who suited up, to be out there contributing. I was the third tight end sometimes on a game day. That meant I was on every single special teams as well. Kickoff return, punt return. Alberto is on 0 special teams. So if he only plays one play, that's a wasted game day suit up. And they have to correct that. But it just shows the kind of confusion they have about that tight end room. Who's the guy we can rely on? Who's a guy who can do everything, can run block, can pass protect, and can stretch the field, down the field for passing plays? They don't have that guy on the roster now, and you're seeing it unfold on game day.
I'd rather play Simba than Albert Okwuegbunam at this point. Talk about an O face. Oh, he dropped the ball again. Oh, he doesn't know how to block. The coaches have told us exactly what they think of Alberto. It's done. It's over for this dude. And it's crazy that this guy got this far playing football, not knowing how to play football.
Well, it's also insane that the day they traded Noah Fant to Seattle, that was a major endorsement to Alberto, right? He's going to be the guy. He's going to be the number 1 tight end. And not only has he not lived up to the hype, he's fallen off a cliff. Nate, you hit the nail on the head. He's going to be a game day inactive before you know it. Probably the second Greg Dulcich gets back. This very well could be the last game we see Alberto as active this year for the Broncos.
And that's hard for me to, sorry. Yeah, no, it's hard for me to watch that because look, I made the transition from receiver to tight end, and it's not easy. You have to change your mindset, the way you attack the game. You have to put your hand in the dirt and put your face in there and attack the block. It's about your attitude. It's about your willingness to do the dirty work. It's not fun to do that, but if you do that and you commit yourself to it, you're going to be wide open in the play action game. This guy has the physical skills. He is 6'5", 250 pounds. He can jump. He can catch. He's athletic. He's got good hips. Why can't you commit yourself to the rough stuff down there on the line of scrimmage, understanding that it's going to unlock your potential down the field? Someone hasn't been able to make that connection with him.
No, I know why, because he's never had to, and he doesn't know what that really means. He took an easy path to go to Missouri, sorry, Will, for football. And, well, I'm not saying anything you don't know. And then he was never really asked to do it. One of the most remarkable things I've seen is players that get to the NFL that don't know rudimentary NFL skills for their position. Ronnie Hillman literally had never blocked in his life and had to be taught that when he got here. And then Alberto has to compete against guys like you, Nate Jackson, who are so desperate and hungry and took so much to get there. You're willing to freaking do anything. And you got this guy who is not a willing participant, but it's not that he's not just willing. He doesn't know how to be willing. He's a great athlete, and he would dominate every single pickup basketball game he would ever participate in. And in flag football at Wash Park, look out. He'll be unstoppable. But it's a different level in the NFL when all the guys are good, all the guys work hard, and then you find out what it's really all about.
Greg Dulcich, real quick. I want to just go a little bit off topic from this one. What the heck? Why haven't we seen him? I know he's dealing with this hamstring injury, but it just feels like at training camp, it was like right around the corner. Here we are going into week 5, guys. Like, what's going on with him and Billy Turner? It feels like we all heard like, we're going to be really close, and it's just not
different things. Two different things. Sorry, go ahead, guys, but it's two different things.
No, the Greg Dulcich hamstring thing. I've had a lingering hamstring issue, and they can be very temperamental. Sometimes they're deep in the belly of the hamstring, up at the attachment of the butt bone, and it's really hard to rehab that because it's like, is it nerve related? Which muscle? I can't get at it. I'm doing core work. I'm trying to rehab. It feels pretty good. I get out there, and something doesn't feel right. That bothered me for a year or two before I figured it out. And then even after that, perpetual hamstring problems. But that's when I gained weight to play tight end. Greg Dulcich, he wasn't even ready for day 1 of training camp. Like, that was something he had in minicamp and OTAs and wasn't able to rehab it in that time off and be ready for day 1 of training camp. That was, to me, huge red flag. It's obviously a very temperamental injury, and he can't get it figured out, and they don't want to rush him back.
Yeah, I'm actually fine with that. listen, he can't block either, by the way. So we really don't know if he'll be any good in that department. He never had to do that at UCLA. But Billy Turner is actually a little bit more concerning, to be honest with you, because I just don't think the guy is. I think he is okay. I think he could play. I just don't think he's doing very well. And I think that's what's going on with Billy Turner. I think it's a deeper issue with Billy Turner. I think we're going down the sort of the Juwan James sort of path,
which is a huge swing and a miss for Nathaniel Hackett. You got to remember, this is a position of need in the offseason, actually for the last several off seasons. And everyone's talking about, we got to draft a right tackle, maybe in the first couple rounds to shore up that side of the line. And Nathaniel Hackett comes in, and he's like, no, it's cool, man. I got my buddy. He's going to be the guy. We got that position figured out. Don't worry about that. And it hasn't unfolded that way. And I think of all the critiques we have of Nathaniel Hackett, that one to me is the most glaring swing and a miss that he's had so far.
Yeah.
Seems like there's been a lot of them. Nate, appreciate you hopping on. We will definitely have you more often. We love the conversation. Will, same to you. DMAC also. Everybody else, thanks so much for hanging out with us in the comments.
And
for the last 45 minutes. DMAC apparently needs to watch some sequels of some Disney movies, though, because he's struggling a bit not knowing about Frozen 2. But anyways, that's going to do it for today's show. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 10:30, everybody.
There's a second one?
There's a second
what?
one. And they check in on Elsa 2 years later, DMAC. Get with the times. All right, everybody. See you tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Bye, everyone.